Hi everyone. So I'm just jumping on to do a quick lesson on possessive plural nouns because we did a spelling shed, if you can remember, where our spellings were possessive plural nouns and it got a little confusing. So just thought I would just do a recap. Now, the purpose of the possessive apostrophe is to show belonging, who it actually belongs to. So there's just a couple of rules that you have to remember. First of all, whether or not it's a plural. So the quickest way to think about this is if we have, say, me. If I'm a lady, obviously this is singular, there's only one of me. But if it's in the plural, because of this Y on the end, this changes, remember, to ladies, IES. If we were using the sentence and I was in the sentence where I'm being a woman, this is singular. But if I was in a group, it would be women. And this is plural. So now if I wanted to have this as the plural possessive with the apostrophes, what you have to remember, sorry, I'm going to start coughing. Say, for instance, we take this pen. The plural possessive apostrophe means that it was to show that this pen is the possession of someone. It's to show that somebody owns something. So in Old English, this would mean that the pen is the pen of mine, or the pen of the lady. But that doesn't sound right. So it gets shortened, just like the words do not gets shortened to don't. This becomes the lady's pen, or the pen of the lady. If there is more than one lady, remember we changed this because there was more than one lady in the room, or more than one lady sitting around the table. So there would be more than one pen. So you have to imagine, as luck would have it, because I've just been doing another video, I've got several pens. So this is where we need context. So if it was there were ladies in the room with lots of pens, we now know that the subject is a lot of ladies and the object are a lot of pens. So we have two sets of plurals here. So this, ladies, the apostrophe goes here. Now there's a common rule of thought going around at the moment that now this is the okay method. You don't actually have to add an S, but some people do like you to add another S. So in some forms, this would be okay, but in others, they would want you to add another S. But this is actually now an accepted form. You don't have to add the S anymore. So then we move to woman. Obviously, there's always exceptions to this rule in English. So woman, the woman has a pen, or the pen of the woman, singular. So we would just add apostrophe S, the woman's pen. The plural of this, the women's pen, well, this is already been pluralized. I've already made the singular of woman into the plural form as women, because this is the exception to the rule. There is obviously the other one, which would be child, becomes children. Mouse becomes mice. And here, it just becomes women's. In exactly the same form. The little cheat here, and again there's exceptions to this which I'll show you, is when you think of possession and pluralizing the word and the apostrophe check. Say for instance if I write the sentence, the ladies' room, like this. Okay. If I take my finger, ask yourself, Who owns the room? If I cover, you can't see the R now, just move it along. If I cover the apostrophe and that S that I've added, you can see that the subject is still here. It still makes sense. If the whole answer is to the left of my finger, then it still makes sense. And I have the apostrophe in the right place. The exception to this is if I pluralize it, say if I have the boys' changing room. Say if I had the boys' changing room in school. Now this doesn't mean singular boys because we don't have a single changing room for each and every boy in school. This is the plural boys. So this, the boy changing room in school, would not make sense. So I've covered up the S. If I had put the plural there, if I put the apostrophe there, I'd have to cover that S up. It wouldn't make sense. So I have to put it here. The boys' changing room in school. And in this point, I would actually put that there. The boys' changing room in school. So there I have the boys' changing room in school. And it still makes sense. And that is possessive apostrophes in the plural. Now, I have a sheet that we can work through just quickly. So, possessive plural nouns. Complete the sentences, apostrophes with plural nouns. So the first one is, something rose filled the air as they all flew through the sky. So we need to look at context. The noun is dragon. This is the subject. The subject is dragon. So the dragon rose filled the air as they all flew through the sky. So the clue is here, as they all flew through the sky. So all of them is not singular, it's plural. So we now know that because this noun is singular, this subject is singular here, we have to change it to the plural. So if we write dragon, if we were to write it as dragons, raw like that, that would mean one dragon. The dragons roars. So that would mean one dragon's multiple roars, as in one dragon roared lots of times. That isn't what they're saying. This sentence would then be a nonsense. So if I was decoding this sentence, I would now have just written, the dragons roars, one dragon's roars, filled the air as they all flew through the sky. It doesn't make sense. So the correct form is the dragons' ziz. The dragons' roars filled the air as they all flew through the sky. The apostrophe goes the other side of the S. If we look at the next one, during the flight, comma, the something suitcases were stored in the hold. Well, the noun, the subject, is the pilot. During the flight, the pilot suitcases were stored in the hold. The pilot. Well, we all know that planes don't just have one pilot, they have two. So this has to be pilots, and this is the pilotses. Pilots doesn't have an S initially on the end, so it just gets its apostrophe there like that, because it doesn't have an S on the end. In autumn, the noun is tree, the subject is tree. Tree leaves change colour as the weather becomes colder. So this is trees, because it is plural. Again, it's an apostrophe. In the kitchen, the chef prepared the... Again, we know our subject is guest. Our object is meals. The guests. Now, it's not just preparing one guest's meals, because it's he won't just prepare one. The guests' meals. The boy is the subject. Football kits were all hung up in the changing room. Were all. Here we go with the all, which means more than one. So we have boys is football kits were all hung up in the changing room. And again, this is where what I was saying before, that some people would prefer to put an extra S here. Some you don't have to anymore. It's just down to personal preference. Everybody ate lots of cake at the child party. Now, this task is a plural noun. So you have to take that this child is not, there's not just one child's party going on, it's children. So this would be children's apostrophe S party. The horse's hair was washed and brushed ready for the pageant. If it's a pageant, there'll be more than one horse. So this is the horses at night. The friendly subject, ghost, wails, echoed through the haunted house. Ghosts. Now the sheep. The plural of sheep is sheep. So this would just be sheep's. Wool was used to make lots of different items of clothing. And then finally, the plural of giraffe is giraffes. So giraffes, apostrophe, necks craned upwards to reach the juicy leaves. And that is how you do possessive plural nouns. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. I think that was the only ones that we had an issue with yesterday. I can't remember any of the other ones. If you can think of any other ones, like I said, please let me know. If you have trouble with apostrophes to show contraction where the words get smaller, then let me know and I will get in touch with you and we can do another lesson on that. Bye bye for now.